Hey guys, I haven't played Warframe in a while, but I'm gonna try to play tomorrow. But I kind of need to get this Boot.Dev lesson done. I've been really interested in coding for a while. I tried to learn C++ before, and I understood it a bit, but I got bored and I eventually just stopped doing it. So I'm hoping to do better with Python, maybe. I already did this one right here. Already ran it, and that should be a success. Yep. Comments don't do anything. They're ignored by the Python interpreter. That said, they're good for what the name implies, adding comments to your code, to notation, basically. And the single pound sign turns it into a comment. Best sword equals skimtar. Print best sword. Variable names. Variable names cannot have spaces. They're continuous strings of characters. The creator of the Python language itself implores us to use snake case for variable names. What is snake case? It's just a style for writing variable names. Here are some examples of different casing styles. Snake case, camel case, Pascal case, no casing. No one don't do this. That's plus. If you won't use snake case for you, do it for me, I beg you. Okay, so you have the option of doing it in different cases, but snake case is probably easiest. Alright. I guess I'll just stick to snake case for everything I do. I mean, that should still work in C++, I think. It's valid camel case. That's just where the first one is small. So that should be the second one. Hero health. Which is valid snake case. That one. Yay. Explain though. That's what casing is. Okay. Basic variable types. Python has several basic data types. Strings. In programming snippets, texts are called strings. They're lists of characters strung together. We create strings by wrapping the text in single quotes or double quotes. That said, double quotes are preferred. Name of single quotes. Not so good. So good. Numbers are not surrounded by quotes when they're declared. An integer is a number without a decimal point. Float. A float is a number with a decimal. Okay. Booleans or booleans. Or bool is a type that can only have one of two values, true or false. Yeah, I remember these. I remember these from C++. Strings I don't remember so much, but number or integer, float. I think float was called something else in Boolean. Fix the bugs in the code. Player health should be an integer and player has magic should be a Boolean. Why are they both in quotations? Ah, okay, so... Oh, okay. Okay, I understand that now. That's why it's a string cut to quotations. Y'all, I'm slow, okay? It was wrong because they were both strings. Oh my gosh. F strings in Python. Ever played Pokemon and chosen a funny name so that the in-game messages would come out funny? America's strength made it possible to move boulders around. In Python, we can create strings that contain dynamic values with the F string syntax. F string. F, you have num bananas. Num bananas equal 10. Opening quotes must be preceded by an F. Opening quotes. That contain dynamic values with the F string syntax. Okay. Okay, let's see what this is. Assignment. Fix the bug on line 7. Use an F string to inject dynamic values into the string. Yarl. Is a dwarf. Oh wait, no. Yeah, I'm doing this wrong, right? Should be that. No, not even that. I think about this wrong. I need to create the F string. So what do I need to put back right there? F string. Now I think about it, how do I make this more better to watch on the... Because I can zoom in. Yeah, that looks better. String. Guess I can get rid of this. I'm gonna copy this just in case. I don't have to type it back again. You serious? You gonna get me for not putting a period there? You ding-a-ling? Non-type variables. Not all variables have a value. We can make an empty variable by setting it to none. None is a special value in Python that represents the absence of a value. It is not the same as 0, false, or an empty string. Okay, that's what I was about to be. Oh, that's what I was about to say. The level of my mental acuity in this case is none until we use the assignment operator to give it a value. None is not a string. None type is not the same as a string with a value of none. Assignment. Declare a variable named enemy and set it to none. Don't change the print function. Got it. True. None type quiz.
The none type in Python is weird, and discovering it in Python is probably really mind-bending in the same way that discovering the concept of zero would have been mind-bending to the ancient Sumerians. Let's start with an example. I'll create this variable age selection and set it equal to none, and that's none with a capital N. It's important to note this is not the same thing as the string none, which would be surrounded in double quotes. None is its own special keyword in Python. It's not just another string. For example, hello world is a string, 1 is an integer, false is a boolean, and none is actually of the type none type, which is its own special categorization. Strings and integers both have infinite possibilities of what they could be. There's an infinite number of strings that you could store in a string type or integers that you could store in an integer type. A boolean can only be true or false, but the none type can actually only contain the value none. So why is this even useful? Well, the idea of none is to communicate that there's nothing here, and not just the value 0, because sometimes 0 means something. Again, let's go back to our example of a variable called age selection. Let's say we have a form on our website where you can input an age. Well, inputting the age 0 would actually be a valid selection. So we can't use 0 to represent the state where the user has not yet selected an age. Again, because you could select 0. So one common use case with the none type is to sort of use it as a default value for a variable. And it indicates that, nothing is stored here yet, but there likely will be or can be in the future. Now, one common mistake I see with new Python developers is when they print a value, or I should say when they print a variable that stores the none value, it will actually print the string none to the console. And that's confusing because if you write a program that instead of printing a variable that stores the none type actually prints a string that just says none, the exact same thing is printed to the console, but they're not the same. Now, the easiest way to test is to actually wrap the variable in a type function. So you're actually printing the type of the thing. And in that case, you'd get a message saying, this is a none type or this is a string type. So if you ever get stuck or lost and you're not sure what you're looking at, be sure to use that in your print debugging.
As we mentioned in the last exercise, the none keyword is used to define an empty variable. So when would you use it? One use case is to represent that a value hasn't been determined yet, for example, an uncaptured input. For example, maybe a program is waiting for a user to enter their name. You might start with a variable, username equal none. Then later in the code, once the user has entered their name, you can assign it to the username variable. Username equal input. What's your name? Remember, it's crucial to recognize that none is not the same as the string none. They look the same when printed to the console, but they are different data types. If you use none instead of done, you will end up with code that looks correct when it's printed, but fails the tests. What might you use a none? Why might you use a none value? To create bugs? To cause additional pain and suffering to your coworkers? I would, because you need a string with the text none as the default value that will be replaced later. Okay, I don't think I fully understand none, but I get it, kind of. It's like, is it technically also like in Pokemon before you name your character? Would that data type, or would that be none? Dynamic typing. Python is dynamically typed, which means a variable can store any type, and that type can change. For example, if I make a number variable, I can later change that variable to a string. Okay, I need to reread that. My ADHD fucked me up. Python is dynamically typed, which means a variable can store any type, and that type can change. For example, if I make a number variable, I can later change that variable to a string. Speed equals 5, speed equals 5. But like maybe I don't. In almost all circumstances, it's a bad idea to change the type of a variable. The proper thing to do is to just create a new one. For example, speed equals 5, but speed description is 5. What is non-dynamic typing? Languages that aren't dynamically typed are statically typed, such as Go, which you'll learn in a later course. In a statically typed language, if you try to assign a value to a variable of the wrong type, an error would crash the program. If Python were statically typed, the first example from before would crash on the second line. Speed equals 5 in parentheses. The computer would give an error along those lines if you can't assign a string value 5 to a number variable speed. So then you would have to change the variable, which he did in this part, or they did, whoever did. The first variable was speed, but the second was speed description. So this would work in Go, but this would not.
It feels like everywhere I look, people are talking about types. If you're just getting started learning to code, you've probably heard of JavaScript, TypeScript, and Python. Well, they all have a different approach to how they type their variables. In this video, we're going to quickly break down the difference between static and dynamic typing and talk about how different languages use these different approaches. And at the end, I'll break down for you which approach I think is better. I teach a lot of Python code, so let's start with how Python approaches typing. Python is a dynamically typed language. So when you create a variable in Python, let's say x, and you set it to a value of, say, the number 5, that variable x happens to store an integer type. But at any point in the program, we can change the type that x stores, right? We could change it to, say, the string 5. Many scripting languages tend to be dynamically typed, right? Languages like Python, JavaScript, Ruby, and PHP. And the reason is, when we don't have to specify types as we're writing our code, we're able to write the code a little more quickly. Now let's take a look at how Go, a statically typed language, approaches this same problem. So in Go, we might write something like var.
I can't remember if C++ is static or dynamic. I want to say that it's static because I remember getting errors, but it's been such a while. Oh shit, scared the fuck out of me.
Now, what happens if later
Thank you for the follow.
We type x
Eve Calderan. Jesus Christ.
5.
Hold up, I gotta pause it now. I done lost where the fuck I was. I appreciate the follow. Thank you.
We set it equal to 5. So this is a little more verbose, but we're being explicit and we're saying this variable x is an integer. Now, what happens if later in our program we type x equals the string 5? Well, what happens is our program completely breaks. Go as a language, or TypeScript, or C++, or one of these statically typed languages, does not allow us to change the type of a variable. Once the type has been set, we need to keep the values stored within that variable of that same type. So the question is, which approach is better? Well, if you had asked me 10 years ago, I may have said that there is a trade-off here, maybe a fairly balanced trade-off, and that the languages like Python, JavaScript, Ruby, and PHP, they chose this way of doing things because it's syntactically simpler, right? We don't have to type nearly as much to get our program up and running. So if we're just writing really small scripts, then this dynamic typing seems to be a huge advantage, right? We can move faster, we can write code faster. When you're working on larger systems, though, the advice has always been static typing is better. And the reason being, it results in fewer bugs. There's basically never a case where you want to take a variable, say player name, and change it from, say, a string to an integer. That doesn't make sense. You would just create a new variable. So by having a set of tooling that doesn't allow you to accidentally change your types tends to result in less bugs and more readable code. So the trade-off seems to be, with dynamic typing, we get to kind of write less code to do the same amount of work, but that code can be more buggy and harder to read, harder to maintain. Or we can write statically typed code, which is less prone to bugs, but takes a little longer to write. It's a little more verbose. Now, that trade-off used to be the case, but these days I'd argue that static typing is simply better. And that's because newer languages like TypeScript and Go and Rust, they have a thing called type inference. And type inference basically gives us the best of both worlds. It allows us to have static typing, but with a very simple syntax. So for example, in Go, rather than using this verbose syntax here, I could just write x equals 5. And by doing that, the computer knows that x is an integer. It can infer that type from its initial value. And then later, if I try to change x to the string 5, again, the same thing happens. That's not allowed. Older statically typed languages, things like Java, C, C++, they didn't have type inference back in the day, and so this trade-off really did exist, right? But these days we can have the best of both worlds with type inference. So you might be wondering, if static typing is so great, why do you teach Python on Boot.Dev, right? Why don't you just teach the static languages if they're so much better? Even though Python is dynamically typed, it's still an amazing language. I love starting students on Python because it's easy to write and it's easy to learn all of the basic programming concepts in a language like Python. But Python isn't just a toy language for learning to code. It's used by thousands of companies in production, and it remains one of the most popular programming languages out there. I use Python day to day for scripting on my local machine and doing little tasks that are kind of one-off and simple. Toward the end of the backend developer career path on Boot.Dev, I start teaching students Go. And one of the main reasons for that is Go is a statically typed language. It's easier to build large, production, kind of robust backend systems in a language like Go. At least that's my opinion. But you can build large production backend systems in statically typed or dynamically typed languages. It's certainly been done both ways. Hopefully this video has helped you out in understanding the difference between statically and dynamically typed languages. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed it.
Is changing the type of a variable generally a good idea? No. I think that's one of the problems I had with C++. Well, that and other than just being confused in general. Dynamic typing. What kind of typing does Python employ? Dynamic. What kind of typing does Python employ? Dynamic. Math with strings. When working with strings, the plus operator performs a concatenation, which is a fancy word that means joining two strings. Generally speaking, it's better to use string interpolation. I'm trying to read too fast without actually reading what's there. With F strings over interpolation with F strings over plus concatenation. It's 1:30 a.m. You reload. Okay, I see exactly what this is. Don't edit above that line. Player 1 health, player 2 health. We have a second player in our game. We need to tell each of our players how much health they have left. Edit line 9 to print player 1's health, and edit line 10 to print player 2's health. Alright. And you put sentence in there too. Well, that should be right. Multivariable declaration. We can save space when creating many new variables by declaring them on the same line. Oh. Sword name, sword damage, sword length. Ooh. Okay. Which is the same as that. Any number of variables can be declared on the same line, and variables declared on the same line should be related to one another in some way so the code remains easy to understand. We call code that's easy to understand clean code. And you call code that's not easy to understand spaghetti code. I've heard the term before. Not sure if it's still called spaghetti code, but spaghetti. No limit. I feel like this top one would be harder for me to understand. Like, I can completely understand this. And you would declare all your variables out, like, right before you even do anything, right? What is clean code? Code that is easy for code that is easy for developers to read and understand. What's the opposite? Yeah, I thought so. Spaghetti. Okay. Now that's a good little AI. Oops. You may have already figured this out by now, but below the lesson explanation, or in the Boots tab on mobile, there's an adorable bear wizard named Boots. His job is to help win if you get stuck. There's no if, it's a win. Here's how. Boots is an AI chatbot, like ChatGPT, that's been trained on our lessons. When you ask him a question, he already knows the official solution, what you've been asked to, the current state of your code. Then you press the... Huh? Boots is an AI chatbot, like ChatGPT, that's been trained on our lessons. When you ask him a question, he already knows the official solution, what you've been asked to do, the current state of your code. If you press the clipboard button to paste it in. He's been trained to not give you the answer. That's bad for learning. But instead to use the Socratic method to help you figure it out. What's the Socratic method? form of argumentative dialogue between individuals based on asking and answering questions. Socrates described his method as a form of midwifery because it is employed to help his interlocutors develop their understanding in a way analogous to a child developing in the womb. The Socratic method begins with commonly held beliefs and scrutinizes them by way of questioning to determine their internal consistency and their coherence with other beliefs, and so bring everyone closer to the truth. In modified forms, it is employed today in a variety of pedagogical, how the fuck do you pronounce this? I feel like I'm pronouncing peta. Okay, pedagogical. I'm sounding it out, but I still feels like I'm saying it wrong. It bothers me. So what Boot.Dev does is basically it puts you, well, Boot's the AI. Basically, it puts you in a debate of wits. If you're wrong, he's going to try his best to show you why you're wrong, but not give you the answer, so that you can figure it out on your own. He asks you follow-up questions and explains fundamental concepts to keep you moving forward. Chatting with Boots before you've completed a lesson costs a baked salmon. He's a hungry guy, or if you don't have one, 50% of the XP that you'd earn from completing the lesson. You only need to pay once per lesson to start the conversation. Chatting with Boots after you've completed the lesson is free. Use this to ask follow-up questions, review the concepts, or ask for more examples. Fantasy Quest dialogue messages are all jumbled up. Fix it. Run the code, notice that nothing prints to the console. Ask Boots why nothing is printing. You'll need to pay up. Just do it. Be sure to click the clipboard icon on the text input to include your code so that he can see it. Use Boots to figure out what's wrong. Fix the code, then submit it. We're expecting the following input. I mean, where's your clipboard icon? I'm assuming I'm just gonna have to do it myself. So I don't see a clipboard icon. Like, there's that one, but I don't think you mean that one. Just delete all this. Assuming it just means that one. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Hmm. Comma? Yeah. I think this looks big. Why is there such a large space in between that and there? Hmm. Ow, I just knocked my fucking mic with my hand. Okay. So commas can work, but it would probably be better to use plus signs. Spell book. As you progress through Boot.Dev, you might find yourself wanting to take notes, review concepts you've already learned, see more examples of a concept, see an example of some syntax you've already learned. Your spellbook solves these problems. It's a searchable cheat sheet of everything you've learned on Boot.Dev. As you complete lessons, you'll automatically unlock new pages in your spellbook that can be searched at any time. So if you know that what you're looking for, use your spellbook before chatting with Boots, because using the spellbook costs no items or XP. Assignment. Competitive fantasy quest players, balanced ballers, have won all their games in the elimination round of the tournament. They're now in the finals. Calculate the average score of their 4 games and store it in the average score variable. Average or mean is calculated by adding up all the numbers and dividing by how many numbers there are, which means first we need to add up all the scores, then divide by 4. Okay. Well, couldn't I? I have an idea about this. All scores. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. I just want to see if it will. Waking Windwalker link. Hey, how you doing? That is a plus sign, not a underscore. I might be thinking about this the wrong way. Or maybe I'm... It's 1:30 a.m. dog. Cut me some slack. I'm fine. Trying to learn some Java. Yeah, I'm trying to learn, Python. Wait. How can game 1 score... What? Is that a typo? There's 2 game 1 scores. Okay, so maybe I am thinking about this wrong. I was trying... No, I'm talking to you right now. I was trying to learn C++ earlier this year, and I eventually just got bored and stopped. But then I was like, man, why did I stop doing that? But also at this point, I'm like, man, my brain does not remember most of anything from it. So you know what? Let's start on a different programming language altogether. And I decided to go with Python because it kept getting recommended to me. I've always wanted to learn coding for like gaming purposes, or because I've always wanted to like make my own like early Final Fantasy RPG type thing. Always wanted to do that, but I've never had the knowledge to do it. And I've been having a lot of trouble. Did you try looking into other languages? Not really. I've only tried C++ and now Python. Well, I guess I did spend a bit of time with... No. Was that Go? Because I did use Godot for a little bit, but Godot isn't a language, I don't think. Pretty sure that's just a video game engine creator thing. I'm just gonna, just C++ and Python, really. And I watched a couple of those Harvard CS50 lectures on YouTube. But at the time, my brain was so fried at the beginning of the year, I couldn't even really pay attention to them all that much. I got a piece here. Toggle switch from boot to your spellbook. Yeah, this is going to be the second language I'm trying out. Don't touch about that line. So the average score is going to be... That's the problem. How is it? How is game one score both of these at the same time? Search for the concept you need for this lesson. Maybe Python math or order of operations. I have the mind for math, but when you put it, for some reason in my brain, I start just getting absolutely fucking confused when you put like full on fucking sentences right next to my equal sign, dog. I don't know why, but that's just what happens to me. Dynamic typing. Okay, so these are both integers, but they're using the same variable. How do I express that? I find Python a bit unpleasant. Well, to be honest right now, because I'm really just getting started with this stuff, I find all of them unpleasant. Like, I just learned about the difference between a dynamic and a static language, and right now I'm seeing why dynamic is a bit unpleasant, because how the fuck do I express both game one score when it's 97 and when it's 91? Like, this is what I was planning out. I was going to make another variable, right? And I was going to say all scores or something like that. And then I was going to put game one score plus... No, that wouldn't work, would it? No, that wouldn't work because, that's just... Wouldn't that just type it out? No, because that's not print. Yeah, strong type system is really helping in the long... run. One of my issues is that, I'm not a very organized person, and coding requires lots of organization. So either I get good or I get gone. And right now it's really making me feel like I need to get gone, but I ain't about to give up just yet. So it's making me feel like this might have been typed in wrong, but then I remember this is that Python is a dynamic language. They might have thrown that in there on purpose to fuck me up. So you know what? I'm just about to go with my original idea. All scores equals, let's say all scores equals game one score score. See, one of my problems is that I hate being wrong or not being good at something. But because I hate not being good at something, it also makes it incredibly difficult for me to keep wanting to do that thing. So, you know, I'm not good at coding yet. I'm just starting. Of course I'm not going to be good. But still in my brain, that makes me feel terrible. And I just have a hard time sticking to something that I don't feel any immediate reward from. And I know that's not a good mindset to have, and that's why I'm still trying to stick with coding a bit, so that hopefully it'll help me both with that mental blockage, and I'll actually learn a skill that I've been wanting to learn for a very long time. So average score equals all scores divided by 4. 76. Okay, so that did give me a number. I just don't know if that is going to be the right thing. That does seem to be the average of all those scores. Let's submit it. Alright, my input is a few characters off. What characters do you mean? Don't give me the answer to any of this stuff either. I need to learn. I don't want to learn, but I need to learn. Hmm. Should I type in the other game one score? Okay, that did change it. Okay, so I assume that means that when I typed in the first game one score, that just took like the first game one score. When I typed in the second one, that gave me, the second one. So hopefully when I run it this time, still no. Okay. You know what? Fuck it. Let's ask Boots. Boots. Get your ass out here. I'm confused. Tell me what's wrong. I shouldn't have done that. I put it up there twice. But yeah, it's nice to have other people that are also learning with me. Like learning code in general. It's one of the things that I don't really get because, I'm not in school anymore or anything like that. I can't talk to other peers about, hey, how did you get this right? Or why did I get this wrong? What did you do for this and what did I do for that? Hmm. How do I want to word this question? I don't just want to say, hey, what's wrong? Yeah, fuck it. What am I missing? I guess I can ask that. Fuck it. Okay, so is it really? Okay. So it wanted me to change it myself. Is that what it's saying? Because it says don't touch above this line, but I see that is incorrect. This might be a trick question, and my brain doesn't handle trick questions too well. Yeah, okay. Okay, it did that on purpose. Ah, I see why it did it on purpose though. Because if you were going over somebody else's code, and they could have written this same thing, don't touch above this line. They could have done that exact same thing that, the lesson put there. And you still got to go in there and check that shit anyway. Just because they say don't check above that line doesn't mean they're right. Okay. Thank you, Boots. Okay, so that was like my own like little mental. I'm not used to having to think outside like the constraints of the box that they put you in for learning. This is gonna be a lot worse than I thought it was. But we gotta keep trucking along. So how long have you been coding for learning? Should have asked you that earlier. Character report. One of our interns started working on a program that outputs data about Fantasy Quest with player characters. It's nearly done, but has various bugs. Fix the bugs and get the character report working. Okay, so number one, that should just be an integer. Like 3 years with ups and downs. And like with the 3 years of learning that you've done, well, how would you like rate yourself on like a scale of 1 to 10? Like I shouldn't even be asking you this because it's gonna make me feel some type of way if you say like I don't even think I'm that good. That's just gonna put myself down. But I'm gonna ask you anyway. It's just a mental thing, and I need to get over that. Account active. True. That's a Boolean. Player PvP rank. That should be a string. Max health, integer, max mana, integer, armor, integer, and magic resistance, integer. Or magic resistance float. Float. Oh. Okay. I forget because in C++ floats and integers are kind of like interchangeable. Oh, I don't know, maybe 6. I feel like now I develop good intuition in this field and can learn new stuff easily. So how did you feel when you first started out coding? Did you have like a lot of blocks? Was it very difficult? Because like when we're talking just plain algebra, I'm completely fine with that. But for some reason when we get into this, I'm thinking it's just because there's a bunch of new concepts that I don't like fully have internalized yet. And that's what's tripping me up, and I gotta just keep doing it before I like just everything just clicks and I can start really working. That's what I'm assuming it's like. That's why I'm asking how it was for you at first. String, boolean, string, integer. I wanted to drop on HTML. I'll write language server and hack cell just for fun. I really like it as a hobby. HTML is what you use for websites, right? And I have no idea what language server and hack cell even fucking means, dog. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm pretty sure that HTML is the one that you use for websites, right? And I guess I can just go ahead and get rid of this decimal point right there and make that an integer and run that. Yeah, HTML is not even programming language, it's for markup. Alright, now explain to me what markup means in this context. When you say markup, you mean like just practice or something? Or like, what's the word for like a rough draft of the code you're writing? That's what I'm assuming when you say it's for markup. Okay, I see what I gotta do here. Print. Name. Okay. Name. twice in max health. Because it is not in the right bracket case. Like, I have to actively think about this, and that's what bothers me. I'm not used to having to actively think about what I'm doing to make myself get in there. It's like I'm back in fucking preschool again, man. Open is a level 25 Windrunner, ranked as a Squire. They have 79 max health and 274 max mana. They have 12 armor and 15.4 magic resistance. Their account is currently active. True. Character report complete. It's a set of rules or instructions for a document, or structure, etc. Okay, that's what I thought. So it's not exactly, it's not, well, not one-to-one to making a, like, rough draft for a paper that you're gotta turn into your professor, English professor, but basically rules and regulations for how you want the website to be coded, right? Yeah, for structure. I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna get it in HTML, because I gotta learn one programming language first before I can learn others, but because I keep being told that once you've got one down, you've basically got the others as well. Submit. Yes. Well, without, besides the subtle differences between a couple of them. Functions. Okay, I somewhat remember functions from C++. Functions allow us to reuse and organize code. For example, say we have some code that calculates the area of a circle. Radius equals 5, area equals 3.14. Times radius times radius. That works. The problem is when we want to calculate the area of other circles, each with its own radius, we could just copy the code and change the variable names like this. Radius equals 5, area 1 equals 3.14. Okay, so that's radius for the first one, radius for the second one. But we want to reuse our code. Why would we want to redo our work? What if we wanted to calculate the area of thousands of circles? That's where functions help. Instead, we can define a new function called area of circle using the def keyword. Def area of circle r pi equals 3.14. Okay. Let's break this area of circle. It's true, but there's a pitfall if another language and another paradigm. Okay, so it's mostly true, but what you're saying is don't get completely comfortable. And when you say another paradigm, do you mean like one dynamic, one static? Or is there some like completely off the wall esoteric language that I don't know about? To be fair, I might not know. I probably don't know about it because I don't know that many different languages. Well, I don't know of that many different languages. I know C++, Python, C#, Scratch. I don't even know if Scratch is really counted for real. Go, Java, HTML. That's just stuff I know of tangentially or tangentically, however you pronounce that word. Java. Did I already say Java? I already said Java. The only reason I know what JavaScript is because Minecraft was... I grew up on that game. Of course I knew what Java was. Had no choice. Let's break this area of circle function down. It takes one input, aka parameter, or argument called r. The body of the function is indented. This is the code that will run each time we use, aka call function. See, this is another problem I have. I'm reading, but I'm not understanding. Like, for some reason, I am able to just go and read something, but then not internalize it. Like, I have to actually focus to understand. It takes one input, aka parameter or argument called r. Okay. So that's the input. Return result. The body of the function is indented. This is the code that will run each time we use aka call the function. It returns a single value, the output of the function in this case. It's the value stored in the result variable. To call this function, fancy programmer speak for use this function, we can pass in any number as the argument, in this case 5 for the parameter r, and capture the output into a new variable. Mainly OOP and functional. You may like functional because math equations and FP looks really clean, closer to paper. I might have to check out functional, see what that's about. Then apparently I don't learn that well by reading. I just need to be doing. Still like having an explanation here, even if I don't completely understand what it's saying yet. To call this function, okay. Area equals area of circle 5, print area. 5 goes in as input r. The body function runs, which stores 7.5 as a result. What? You know, it might also just be because it's fucking 2:30 in the morning. That might also be the problem here. Probably shouldn't be trying to learn coding at 2 a.m. Ah, whatever. God's got my back. Okay. An argument called R. So that's the argument. There is Idris programming language that often used for proofs. Proofs? Like proofreading? Yeah, you're teaching me a whole lot of lingo here about like stuff I never heard about. The body of the function is indented. This is the code that will run each time use aka call. Okay. I think I understand. So this is what's being used at the time. And this right here is the function. And this right here is what's being used to decide which of this is going to be used. So like you can have multiple area. What I'm trying to understand is I think it's saying that you can have multiple depth area of circles, and then you change this number or whatever you have right here to represent all of this to call it to a different area. I think that's what it's saying. I also might be explaining it wrong to myself in my own head. I don't know, man. That's what I'm thinking right now. Returned a single value, the output of the function. In this case, it's the value stored in the result variable. The function returns the value 78.5, which means the area of the circle expression evaluates to 78.5. Or is it just storing the result? Well, wouldn't that technically be the same thing if whether it was storing the whole equation or the result? Okay, let me see here. Okay, so yeah, it is what I thought it was. Same function, different number, because it's connected to give you a different answer. Okay, so what do you want me to do here? Now that I have a better understanding of what I think it wants. We need to calculate the size of a weapon's attack area. With a 1 meter sword, for example, a player can attack an area of 3.1 square meters around them. You can use the area of circle function to do that calculation. Fix the bug on line 13 by calling the area of circle function with the spear length as input and store the result in the spear area variable. Line 13, you said? Okay, so def function. Area of circle. And what was spear lengths? Okay, that was the input. This is going to have to be one of those things I do again and again. I can already tell. .14. Why are you doing that? Tab once. Or am I doing this wrong again? I feel like I'm doing shit wrong. I don't need to type the rest of this out, do I? I don't think I do. I don't think I have to. Because that's already there, right? So I should just have to press what, print area? No. Why am I typing any of this shit out? Hold the fuck up. Hold on. Ernie, you saw me doing this shit and you didn't say a thing? Got me fucked up over here. Wait, I might be stupid. I'm just looking. I can tell you're just looking. You're not answering anything. I mean, to be fair, I did tell you not to, but still, you let me be a dumbass on national television here. Come on. Okay. Let's back the fuck up. Let me back the fuck up. Okay. Sword length, spear length. Okay. Okay. Hold the fucking phone. What is it? Let me reread this shit. What are you asking me again? We need to calculate the size of a weapon's attack area. Yes. I understand that. You can use area of a circle function to do that calculation. Okay. Fix the bug on line 13, calling the area of circle function with the spear length. Okay, so that's already the function made up right there. Okay, that's what that is. That is what that is. So, okay. Is there a way to refresh the page real quick? I think I need to start over from like beginning. Okay, it doesn't look like there is. You're watching me be a failure. Okay. Okay. I'm watching you learning. You're watching my brain fry on 350-degree heat on the stove top. Because I thought I knew what I was doing, and then something happened, and then I immediately stopped thinking I knew what I was doing. Is this normal for this shit? I have to keep rereading this. It's making me feel stupid. Because we've already defined the function, now you can use it as many times as I want. Okay. 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 I think I got it. I think I understand. Maybe the fuck I don't. Do I? Okay, no, it's already been defined. Shit's already been defined. So you don't gotta worry about defining it. It's already up there. Right here is what you want to do, I believe. This is what I want to do here. So get rid of this fucking 0. Why is that there? Area of circle. Why did I put a space there? Area of circle. What is it? Spear length. Score. Length. My ass can't spell neither. Okay. So we run that. All right. Submit. Yeah. That was hard. I actually had to put thought into that. But it also felt good. Functions. Yes, please teach me more about functions. This right here is gonna be my downfall. I can already tell.
Functions are the building blocks of real-world applications. They make it so we can reuse the code that we write, and they help us organize our code into smaller pieces so that it's all easier to keep track of. Let's take a look at this example, a function that calculates the area of a circle. It takes the radius of a circle as input, in meters, we'll be using the metric system for this example, and when it's done, it will return the area of the circle, in meters squared. Here's the code that defines the area of circle function. If all we do is define the function, it won't actually do anything. We have to call the function in order for it to execute. Let's call it with a radius of 5.
Okay, so this is defining the function. That's what that def is. I was wondering what that def was there for. That's signing that's your defining the function. This is where it's defined. That's that. So that's its own separate thing that you will put at the start of the program. And this down here, putting area of a circle and then parentheses behind it, that is calling the function for a certain thing in a certain place further down in the program. Okay. Is that right? Learning, is that right? Am I thinking about this in the right way? Def, aka fun, fn fun, function. So yeah, am I thinking about this in the right way? All right, all right. That's all I needed to hear. I just I needed a little bit of reassurance right there, because I am so scatterbrained that I'll 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 think about something and then I'll start thinking about it in the wrong way, and I'll just keep going down that path until I'm completely wrong and I'm just completely confused.
As the input. Now, when the function is called, execution jumps back to the function definition. A new variable that's only available inside the function, called pi, is created with a value of 3.14. Next, we save the result of pi times r to a new variable called result. The area of a circle is pi r squared after all. Finally, we return the result from the function as its output. Execution jumps back to the function call at this point, and we capture the return value in a new variable called area. And if we want to, we can just print it. The best part is that we can then call it again with a different input, getting the associated output, and we can do it again and again and again as many times as we want.
Funny that keyword is different in different languages. Oh, so okay. So that's what you meant by F in fun, func, and function. So if I were to go to a different coding language, it wouldn't be DEF to start a function. Go back to that radius part. Basic concept of a function is quite easy to understand, I guess, but some details that differs in languages can be tricky. See, I understand the concept, it's just when I see it put in front of me, my brain is like, what the fuck is all this letters and numbers mess? I'm just gonna have to get used to it. I can already tell I'm also gonna have the problem of thinking, when should I put a function in? Or should I just always be looking for somewhere to add a function? Back up a little bit.
Is define the function, it won't actually do anything. We have to call the function in order for it to execute. Let's call it with a radius of 5 as the input. Now, when the function is called, execution jumps back to the function definition.
Okay. Which happens first? The function is defined. Of the choices, which step happens last when the code is executed? Function is called intuition, but if put simply, when you want to reuse code or want to abstract something away. Okay, so I can understand the reuse code part, but what do you mean by abstract something away? The last part, that would be when a value is returned from the function, right? Yeah. I have a lot of problems just relying on my intuition alone, because it has steered me wrong in the past. That's why I'm like, I don't, because when I hear intuition, I'm like, guesswork, buddy. And I know that's not what you mean when you say intuition, but when I hear that word, that's what comes to my, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. But I believe you mean it more in a way, hey, do you think, I think a function would be all right here. I think that would help my code. And I think that's what you mean by that. I'm pretty sure that's what you mean by that. This would make it simpler. This would make it easier. This would shorten the time I have to spend typing. And it would also be correct still. Opening up my can of ginger ale. Why is the variable called radius outside the function but r inside the function? Because programming is needlessly hard and makes me want to cry sometimes. That is true, because the only variable of the variable is passed to the function. It is then assigned a new variable called r. Because all variables are called r inside functions, because all variables are automatically shortened to one letter inside functions. Okay, I can tell this from process of elimination. because that's obviously not it. And I think those two are stupid. So I'm going to say this one because the only value of the variable is passed to the function. So only the value of the variable is passed to the function. It is then assigned to a new variable called R. I mean, it differs every time. It's hard to say always. Hmm. Multiple parameters. Functions can have multiple parameters. Parameter being a fancy word for input. For example, this subtract function accepts two parameters, A and B. Okay. I feel like I'm also thinking about it wrong. Okay, hold on. So if A and B is the parameter, what is subtract? Subtract is the function, right? So subtract, let me put it this way. I'm gonna type this in chat. Function is that what it's saying right there? Function parameter. Because if it's if that's what that is, that's a much easier way for my brain to like try to like acknowledge what I'm typing, what I'm doing here. In the example, this subtract function accepts two parameters A and B. Everything inside brackets is a parameter / argument. Okay. Hmm. So would subtract. So would the whole thing be the function, or would you call subtract something else? Okay, so since A and B would be the parameter, what would subtract be? Subtract is the function, right? Parameter is a term when you defining the function. Argument is for when you pass a real value in there. Ah, okay. I understand. I think I understand what you're saying. So 5 and 3 would be arguments, but name and age would be parameters. Oh, okay. 5 and 3 arguments, but name and age are parameters. But they're also used interchangeably sometimes, it looks like. Because this here is still calling like a, well, I guess still, yeah, just terms. Okay. I'm so used to like my I'm so I'm more of a math guy, right? I'm so used to it being like strictly structured to where like to the point where you can't just say, yeah, they're just terms that can be used interchangeably. I'm not used to that. It's weird. When I say math, I mean like more like algebra, but still. Like, this is kind of like making my brain have to work in like an entirely different way. Let's keep reading, I guess. The name of a parameter doesn't matter when it comes to which values will be assigned to which parameter. It's position that matters. The first parameter will become the first value that's passed in. The second parameter is the second value that's passed in. And so on. And so on and on. In this example, the subtract function is called with a equals 5 and b equals 3. Result equals subtract 5, 3. Print result. Ah, okay. Okay. And that's it. That's the defining right there. And they're using oh. Okay. I think I understand. I think I understand what it's doing. I'm gonna have to run through like some like actual examples of this later on. I really like Haskell. It's based on lambda calculus. You can look into it after Python. It can be interesting. I mean, fuck it. Let me look at it right now. At least get a little example of it. What the fuck am I looking at? Yeah. Looks like Greek to me. Yeah. This looks like the dragon language from Skyrim, my guy. Oh yeah. Love seeing that. I know exactly what this is saying. Oh fuck, I don't. You know what the problem is? I did not mean to do that. What the fuck did I just press? Part of the problem is that I never took calculus. Okay, yes, this is easier for me to understand. You know, until it gets down here and it's talking about Euler Steve, whatever the fuck this other shit is. What is a prime? Or is that just a variable? That might just be a variable. Yeah, I would have to look more. I would have to look at the rule, look up the rules of Haskell. But it looks similar. It can be called like this. Here's an example with 4 parameters. Well, plain, but what I mean is that function languages in certain applications looks just like math equations. Yeah, I noticed that looks far more like a math equation than this does. I'll just put that down too. Right here. Yeah, that's way more like a math equation than this is. Like, this also looks like math equations, but not all of the time. Here's an example with 4 parameters. Name, age, height, weight. First part, your name is plus, blah, blah, blah. I need to stop doing that as well. Like, skimming through it. I'm so used to learning things where my brain is able to just skim through it and then still get the concept and still get a high grade on my assignment. You can't do that with this because it's much more in-depth than most things that I've ever done. Like, I need to know this. And I'm probably, when I read it like the way I'm used to reading, I skim over important things. Okay, so that's a function being made right there. My name, my age. Intro, go create introduction, my name, my age, blah, 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 blah. I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. Stop doing that. Read it. FP is nice, but don't get lost in the type stuff. What type stuff do you mean? You'll see. You can't hit me with that and then get me fucking confused. Like type level programming. What the fuck is type level programming? I understand what those things mean individually, not together. All the type system stuff. I feel like y'all are just here to enjoy like watching somebody fucking struggle for the first time learning code. Like int float list. Oh, okay. I understand what types are. I might have to just make like a checklist of shit of like the terms and stuff, because I know what types are, but I didn't understand what you meant when you said type just now. But with FP, you can get totally insane. Okay, now explain to me, what is FP? Like, I don't know what you mean when you say FP. Functional programming. Okay, so is Haskell a... Oh, or do you... Or... When you say functional programming, do you mean just like the functions here? Like these functions? Or is functioning... Or when you say functional programming, is that like a type of programming language? What Learning was saying. Haskell is a functional programming language, is what you mean? It's one of them. Okay. Okay, that was the second thing I was thinking. It was either one you or the other you were talking about. All right. Okay, now that that's in my head, you know, until I wake up in the fucking morning and I forget this shit. This is all just a bunch of new terms and stuff I just gotta learn. I wish I had started learning all this when I was 17 instead of 23. But unfortunately, I did not have the resources to even try back then, really. Okay, so that's an example of the whole... That's an example of the whole shit. It can be called like this. Assignment. We need to calculate the total damage from a combo of 3 damaging attacks. Complete the triple attack function that takes 3 numbers as its parameters. Damage 1, damage 2, and damage 3, and returns the sum. The attacks, attack 1 to attack 6, are already passed to 2 triple attack functions for you, so you don't need to use them directly in the function. attack 1 to attack 6. Don't touch below this line. Yeah. The gears aren't turning, my people. Are you new to programming and new to streaming? I'm pretty new to programming, kind of both. Did Learning split? I believe Learning's still in here. I'm newer to streaming than I am to programming. I did do a little bit of C++ earlier this year, but that wasn't when I was streaming or anything. Streaming is just something, well, I said streaming. Programming is just something I've always wanted to learn for like the longest time, and I just never got around to it until this year, because this year was when I kind of got everything I needed to really start the way I wanted to. Like, I had this gigantic C++ book that I could have read, but reading alone does not work very well for me. Like, I need both instruction and like hands-on experience for me to really learn something. I have a hard time doing stuff with just a book. I can't. Most don't touch functional programming, but it's very interesting. You may find joy in learning just for fun, but it's better just to focus on Python for now. After your first language will be significantly easier. That is also another thing I've been told. Like, people will say to me that, okay, so your first time learning like a language is going to take you like maybe 6 months. Then the second language you learn is going to be like maybe 2 months, and then as you keep on going, it just gets easier and easier and easier until you're just able to like switch it in your head like that. Yeah, you got to program more stuff. That's another thing. Okay, so the way my brain works, I'm not able to like just make a project for myself to do. Like, let's say I want to use all of the acquired knowledge I have here to make something. My brain is like, what are we making? I don't know, dude. What are we making? I don't know, bro. And we just go back and forth like that in my own head, and then I just get stuck, and then I'm like, well, how the fuck are we supposed to move forward now if you don't know what the fuck to do? I don't know, bro. What are we gonna do? My stupid monkey brain, like, overflow of symbols in Rust and C++. Ah, so you like that overflow of symbols and stuff. I wish I still had my VS Code working so I could show you like all the stuff I did do back then. It would be cool if the same principle applied to human languages. I still don't know English very well. Hey man, listen. The fact that you're typing right now and I can't tell that you're not from an English-speaking country should tell you very much. Like, I don't know if you speak English very well, like, out of your mouth, but you type English very well. I can say that. Thanks. No problem, man. Like, I can't even tell that English is your second language. At least not through text. This was... I don't even remember what I was doing with any of this shit. I think this is a random number generator. What the fuck? Why is this here? Jesus Christ. I don't even know if that's offensive. You win a trans? What the fuck happens if I press this? Run without debugging. Where's the fucking terminal? Restart Visual Code. Nah, let's not do that. Yeah, nah. Already forgot what I was fucking doing. See how quickly I get off track by just pressing a couple buttons? What were we doing? What were we doing? See? I can't not pay attention for a second. Or else that's my ass. Okay, so we're up here. Def triple attack. Attack 1 to 6. We need to calculate the total damage from a combo of 3 damaging attacks. Complete the triple attack function that takes 3 numbers as its parameters. Damage 1, damage 2, and damage 3. Okay. Oh, randoms. In pure FP, you can't mutate variables, so getting a random number is not that simple. You probably have to do some type of esoteric random bullshit to make it work in a functional one, right? Okay, let me do this. Oh, what am I thinking? Well, for you as a user of the standard library, it's still simple, but interesting concepts are involved. I would totally listen to those concepts if I could first understand what I'm doing here first. I need to get my baseline knowledge to a good starting off point before I do anything else. I'm trying to look at this because this is what we're doing up here. So create introductions. That's that, and that. First part. Your name is John and you are 30 years old. Okay, what happens when I just run it like that? Nothing. Okay. I'll just get fucked up. Okay, so is it triple attack? No, don't put a space there. Triple attack. No, what am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Stop. Do we just put total? Total equals damage 1 plus damage 2 plus damage 3. Okay. So we got that. Total. Oh, what the fuck is full intro? I don't think I need to have that, do I? Yeah, no. Return. Total. Now run it. Getting damage for 2, 4, and 3. 9 points of damage dealt, getting damage for -1, 10, and 5. 14 points of damage dealt. Okay, I think that's right. I figured it out. Only took me 30 goddamn minutes. Alright, you guys. It is 3 a.m. I have to get some sleep. I do have some things I have to take care of this morning in a couple hours. And then I'll probably be back on again tonight. I don't know if I'm going to be back on the same time tonight. Tomorrow night. Whatever the fuck. When it's dark out again tomorrow. Today. Whatever. I don't know if I'm going to get on the same time, but I will be on again. Don't know if I'm going to be coding, though. I don't know if I'm going to be doing these lessons. Because I also, on this channel, I also play, like, Warframe, Total Eclipse. As soon as the Total Eclipse starts. What Total Eclipse? What Total Eclipse are you talking about? I'm in America. What Total Eclipse are you talking about? Man, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Or does it? Now, what Total Eclipse are you talking about? This was back in April. It would be dark then. What are you talking about? Oh, you know what? It's 2025. No, I still don't know what you're talking about, dude. Explain your... No, you know what? No, don't explain yourself. I'm being tricked here. I need to go to sleep. This always happens. What was I saying before you got me sidetracked with a freaking eclipse? Yeah, if I get on again tomorrow, I probably won't be coding. I also play like different games on this channel. Like right now, I'm still working through Warframe. Well, I'm replaying all the quests that I did before. Not because I need to, but because I need to re-familiarize myself with the game. It's been a hot minute since I really played the game like I have been lately. What else do I play on here? I play Monster Hunter. I fucking love that game. I just got it this year. Monster Hunter World in particular. And since I got Monster Hunter World, I also went ahead and got Monster Hunter 4U, Rise, and what's that other one that I have? What is that other one? Generations. Generations X, I think, or is it Generations Ultimate? I think it's Generations Ultimate that I have on the Switch. What else do I play? It's mostly just been those two things lately, really. And I also have a YouTube channel. I don't have a lot of good things posted there, at least not in my opinion. It's mostly just me on there, like, fucking around with the boys, saying, just saying gay stuff. Just because we can. And that's really all that's on there. Based. Yeah, I have a lot of shorts of just us like fucking around with each other and saying random gay shit towards each other just because we can. But besides that, yeah, that's really all that's up there. You might see a few, if you do go on my YouTube, you might see a few like shorts of me, but I'm not this little anime dude right here. I'm not a VTuber on there. It's just gonna be me in a fox mask because Sometimes I don't feel like being 2D. Sometimes I want to be a real boy, okay? Also, sometimes when my software isn't fucking working, I gotta do it the hard way, so... Mask. But yeah, let me go ahead and head on out of here for the night. It was a pleasure meeting the both of you, and I hope you come back because I am going to need your assistance. I am going to need you. I'm going to need you to tell me more terminology that I don't know that I get to ask questions about, so I will appreciate it. And I appreciate what you've done for me so far. So yeah, good night, and hope you have a good day tomorrow.